Alright, hello YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Um, and whether you're new here or you've been with me for a while, if you like today's video and you like what I'm doing here on this channel, then please take the time to like today's video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified when I have new videos go up. So today I thought I would finally review Truth and Treason. Now this is a movie that came out last year. It was a movie. It was a movie that that I knew it was playing in the theater. I actually wanted to see it. When it was out last year, but I didn't get to see it, unfortunately. So when I saw that Groove Entertainment, was going to be getting it in, for pre-order, I was like, okay, I guess I'll just pre-order it. Okay, so let me give you guys kind of, like the basic gist, of this movie. I won't be saying a whole lot about the plot, just because there isn't really a whole lot to talk about in terms of plot, but the basic gist of this movie is, so this movie is based on a true story. And you have a 16-year-old German boy by the name of Helmuth Huebner. This was obviously back in, when World War II was going on. So Germany is engulfed in war, and Helmuth Huebner gets a job at City Hall. He is the youngest intern that they've ever hired. And Helmuth's priest, the bishop, is basically encouraging everyone to swear absolute obedience to Adolf Hitler. However, Helmuth starts to second guess. He starts to question the Nazi regime and the propaganda that is that plagues across Germany. And this is apparent. This is very apparent when Helmuth, one of Helmuth's close friends, who is German but he is also Jewish. His friend's mother is half Jewish. He finds on the church door, he finds Jews are not allowed here. And he begins, his friend is walking home, one day, and is stopped by a group of Nazis. He gets beaten up because they find out, that he's half Jewish. And he starts to, and Helmuth, starts to question, the Nazi regime, that has been, completely plaguing, Germany. And he hears on the radio, he hears this message that basically exposes the truth, of the Nazis, saying, they just suffered an unprovoked attack, from Hitler, from the Nazis, and Helmuth. But the moment where the twig finally snaps for Helmuth is his friend, his Jewish friend, disappearing under mysterious circumstances. And from there, he goes to work on his typewriter and begins, writing his own kind of propaganda, his own form of, resistance against the Nazi regime. And he, and forms kind of, a resistance with his two friends. With two of his close friends, and together they go around, They go from, house to house, mailbox to mailbox, car to car, car to car, leaving, like resistance, messages all over, people's homes and people's mailboxes. They are trying to expose, the Nazi regime and the corruption, in the level of corruption that plagues Germany. And it's a very, very, very well done movie. It's well acted, it's well shot. It's kind of like a character study in a way, because you see Helmuth's, complete transformation, from German to kind of, like resistance fighter. Of course, resistance, not, like physically fighting, but, resistance in the, in the form that he is out there, trying to expose, the truth. And this movie does an incredible job at just showing you, like, how evil and how cruel, the Nazis were. The Nazis were back then. The Nazis were obviously, some of the most evil people, to ever live. And this movie does, an incredible job at really, really conveying that to you. The movie is very, very well researched. It's a very, very, well written, it's a very, very, well written movie. And Helmuth, really was, Helmuth was a hero. I mean, he, it's one thing, to know, it's like, most people, obviously, don't have the balls, to stand up for what they, for what they believe in, because obviously, it's dangerous. And it can cost you your life. And Helmuth, obviously knowing this and knowing, how dangerous it is, but at the same time knowing, that it needed to be done, that it was something, that needed to be done, is incredibly noble and just, very, very heroic. And yeah, this movie is fantastic. This movie, if you guys haven't seen this, I'm going to recommend the hell out of this and just say, if you're a history buff, if you're a history buff like myself, watch it. If you are not familiar with Helmuth, with Helmuth Huebner and, like his life story, this was very, very eye-opening for myself, because I was not totally familiar, with Helmuth's, backstory. I had no clue, who, I had no clue who, Helmuth was up until this movie. So I learned a lot from this movie, and I think a lot of people, and I think a lot of people who haven't seen this will definitely learn a lot from this movie. And I feel that this is a very, very important, story that needed to be told. And it's told in such a way that is both, it's heartbreaking. There are times, when it's heartbreaking. There are times when it's heartwarming. Helmuth's friendship, with his friends is very, very warm. Is very, very warm. It's very, very, it's very, very heartfelt. You could tell, that Helmuth and his friends, were all very, very close. And yeah, I'm going to recommend the hell out of this movie and just say, if you haven't seen it, watch it, because, again, if you're a history buff, you're going to love it. If you love movies, you know, based on true stories, you're definitely going to love it. So I'm going to recommend the hell out of this and just say if you haven't seen it, watch it because you will enjoy it. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you've seen it and what you thought of it. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace.